Right.
Should we do this?
Should we do this?
Yeah, hold on. Coming back to the screen. I
Hello,
just sent you the link.
everybody. Welcome to the show. We're live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, anywhere they'll allow us. This is
Which
Torn.
is more and surprisingly more and more places these days, isn't it?
This is Torn Tuesday, your weekly dose of all things Lord of the Rings. We've been doing this show for 11 or 12 years, over 500 and something episodes, and my co-host here, Cliff Broadway, is the longest relationship I've ever had.
And I'm telling you, there's nobody that I would rather dance with at my daughter's wedding than you, Justin. You and me.
Make me blush.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this extraordinary broadcast. Once again, coming to you live from Arda, the lands of Middle-earth and the island continent of Numenor. Also, sometimes broadcast on certain wavelengths in Valinor. Only if you can achieve those certain wavelengths, or you can just jump off the boat and swim somewhere else if you want. Ladies and gentlemen, my name's Clifford. That guy right there is Justin Sewell, and welcome aboard. I believe we have some new casting announcements. Is that front of mind, or do we have some other mischief on our show to start with?
We have so much mischief on our hands today.
I got stuff to share with you that you don't know about, which is turning the tables
Oh
on
my goodness. Okay, all right. You know what?
Okay.
We've got a lot to talk about, so let's just dive in right now as we speak. Cliff, I think you emailed me some stuff. I'll bring that up in the middle of the show. But the big breaking news right now is we have a new casting announcement. Redanian Intelligence is reporting that actress Celeste Dodwell has been cast in a role for season 2, and she is on set right now. Cliff, do you know this actress? Did you look her up today?
I did, and I was thinking to myself, I really wanted to see that movie Allied with Marion Cotillard and Brad Pitt, and I missed it. I really missed it, and I should have seen it, because that is the feature film that she's most well known for, aside from this really great series, Atlanta, which has had some great ongoing seasons. On American television, this TV show called Atlanta, and I've missed it. I missed that too. So the problem is I did the research, and then I was just immediately thinking of who she could play. Immediately fan casting in my mind that this actress right here could be really quite stunning. The daughter of Galadriel and Celeborn. You know, Celeborn is still off stage. At the end of season 1 of Rings of Power on Amazon Prime, there's a mention, very specific mention of Celeborn, which would be the husband that Galadriel seems to have, but she doesn't know, maybe? She doesn't know that he's still alive, but he's off stage. And you know who else? There's another character I think they haven't mentioned, and that might be Celebrian. That would be their daughter. And ultimately, if this is true, if my fan casting is not as far off as my instincts tell me it could be,
she does look like Galadriel, even during Deathless in the chat room.
Oh my gosh.
It's like Galadriel. I would totally buy that idea that she is related to Morfydd Clark's Galadriel.
And I would even consider how strange and wonderful it could be further down in seasons 3 and 4 and 5 that if this lovely Celebrian character falls in love with a certain Elrond, half-elven, and suddenly we've got many seasons of a strongly developed romance with Elrond, who would ultimately, and Celebrian, they would ultimately be wed together. And how interesting it is, because her storyline in the Second Age gets pretty twisted and really unhappy and not so pleasant. And I'm really intrigued if they're going to take this character on full force and do her justice. I love this actress. Look at her. Just look at her, guys. Tell me, or tell me not. This is your Celebrian. You guys in the chat, let us know.
I have another theory, but we have a question from the chat room. Cliff, how do you square Galadriel going on the ship to Valinor if Celebrian is alive and about?
I'm assuming a time jump, and that, she hasn't been born yet. I'm really assuming that she hasn't been born yet. I don't know if they're going to do something weird like that and suddenly have her be a little girl and then time jump like in the House of the Dragon and she's much older. But I no, yeah, I can't square the idea logically because, why would she leave her daughter behind? If she thinks that her husband is dead, according to the internal logic of this world, the way that they've presented it to us in season 1 of Rings of Power, I am trying to follow carefully that if she actually thought her husband were dead, wouldn't she linger specifically in Middle Earth to communicate and continue, life with her daughter? You know what? They've kept so many mysteries on that show to the greater, I don't know, to the greater misfortune of some in the fan community who can't figure these things out to our own satisfaction. We are often challenged with the idea that the character might never exist. I might be completely wrong, and the whole Rings of Power thing might continue without Galadriel's and Celeborn's daughter ever being mentioned, and without Elrond ever getting married to anyone. They might not need to do that. Maybe they need to focus on Elrond helping to defend Eregion. Maybe Elrond fighting against Sauron when he comes to get the Rings of Power. Maybe him going and discovering a river valley hidden away, just to the west of the Misty Mountains. And what is that? The perfect place for him to find refuge there and build the settlement that would be Imladris later on. I don't know if they even need to bring in Celebrian. If they're going to try to do some economical changes to the storyline, I might be wrong entirely, but I don't want them to do that. I would love, 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 love for this actress right here to be the daughter of Galadriel and Celeborn. I would love it so much. It's just as likely as anything else, if we're being honest, isn't it? And if you're going to go with, introducing this character, then they're going to have to backpedal and do a flashback or something where maybe Galadriel said goodbye and there was a hidden scene that we never saw in season 1, and Galadriel actually did say goodbye to her daughter off stage, and maybe it's a flashback. I don't know. Well, who knows what the hell they're going to do? I'm sometimes as befuddled as I am amused and entertained.
Well, look,
by what's going on.
I want to ask you.
Yes, please.
In the show lore, Galadriel, if we're to believe everything in season 1 is not a complete lie, which they have hinted at. They have hinted at that everything in season 1 is not to be believed. Like, right. It is history told through an unreliable narrator.
Oh gosh, okay.
So sure. They've hit that.
How many times can you point to J.R.R. Tolkien and his books where he used an unreliable narrator?
Look, we're not talking about that. We're just saying what the showrunners have told us.
Of course not.
And they wouldn't lie to us, would they?
Of course not. Of course not.
If Galadriel thinks her husband is lost,
yes,
dead or lost, I forget the word she uses. How do you first up? Does Celebrian show up with her daddy in season 2, and how do you square Celebrian showing up with her daddy to the surprise of Galadriel?
The easy out with that, that thing I just suggested a few minutes ago, that the character was always there, but was kept off stage.
Okay,
they could. They've done weirder things.
It'd be very weird to put her on a ship to Valinor without having a scene of saying goodbye to her only daughter. Come on now.
Wouldn't it? But then again, without spoilers, and I'm sorry, this is going to now enter complete spoilers territory. Really? This is going to enter in all the spoilers territory. This is how it happens. In the Third Age, 2509, and they might not even get to this because it's not in the Second Age at all. Maybe they don't have a license to this part of the story because it's in the Third Age. But folks at home probably are familiar with this part of the lore of her story. And for newbies, welcome aboard. We love having you guys here. Welcome to the community. Here's a little bit of additional lore about the daughter of Galadriel and Celeborn that you might not have known. and I'm reading this from the LOTR fandom wiki because it's easier. In Third Age 2509, Galadriel was on her way to visit her parents. Dun, 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 the way that we remember seeing them in Fellowship of the Ring. She was on her way to visit her parents in Lothlorien, and during that journey, she was waylaid by a party of orcs in the Redhorn Pass, high above the Misty Mountains. She was trying to traverse the mountains to get over to the eastern side and arrive in the Golden Wood. She was tormented then by the orcs and tortured and received a poisoned wound. Her son, now imagine them depicting this late in season 4 or in early season 5. Who knows? Her sons, the twin sons, Eladan and El-Rohir, arrived much later to rescue her, and Elrond, back in Rivendell, healed her wounds. But in her heart and in her spirit, Galadriel was never, ever fully healed. And so
that's older Celebrian. So
that's all older. But you see, that's the part of the story that we most want to see.
So we don't have anything on young Celebrian. So it's
no,
ripe
but ultimately
for the writing.
Punctuation. The ultimate punctuation mark is that she gets on a ship and she leaves, just like her mother Galadriel was depicted in season 1.
Got it.
Getting on a ship to go to Valinor.
I see.
So
it's like poetry. It rhymes.
Yeah.
Cliff,
if they do bring it, then they'd have to have rights to the Third Age element of that story to fulfill that full circle of the story.
Well, they do have the rights.
Okay.
I want to propose only one other character opportunity for this actress. Let me bring her up on screen.
Okay, let's do that.
Cliff, would you believe, following up on our earlier reported rumor that Tom Bombadil is in season 2, would you believe that as the stunningly beautiful, nobody is worth her beauty, Goldberry?
I'm there for that. That would be brilliant. As much as I would love to see this lovely actress as Galadriel, bringing her in as a genuine Goldberry and having Tom Bombadil maybe meet the River Daughter for the first time and discover how magical she is, and he falls in love with her. I would eat that up, man. I would line up in the banquet hall. I would be at the buffet, and I would go back for second helpings and third helpings of Goldberry and Tom Bombadil. Do you know what? Let's stop for a moment, and let's remember how beautiful, and gorgeous the cinematography was in all of season 1 of Rings of Power. Think about how non-stop beautiful they depicted the world of Middle-earth, to the full credit of all the hardworking craftspeople and the production people and the costumes and art department.
But she doesn't need any art. She is beautiful on her own.
Imagine photographing her in an environment as the River Daughter. Imagine photographing her and how gorgeous that's going to be. I love that idea.
I like this idea of her, of this actress, Celeste Dodwell, which Redanian Intelligence is reporting is joined season 2. Right. I like the idea of her being the River Daughter, the River Nymph, Goldberry, the
so
beautiful, stunningly beautiful. Tom Bombadil even says in the text that he does not deserve her. So and the other reason I like the idea of this is Goldberry is there's no way Tom Bombadil is an ongoing character. He's probably just a one episode, a
special, what they call a special bottle episode,
special guest appearance. They bump into Tom and Goldberry on their travels in the forest. Mm-hmm. So I would buy that. And because this actress, she's up and coming, she's had a guest episode. She was on a guest episode of Atlanta. She's been in a bunch of short films. She's very much a bit player. She's never had a juicy role yet. So I don't know if she has. I don't know. She hasn't had the chops proven to take on such a legendary character as Galadriel. And I feel like Galadriel is such an important, long-lasting character in the in the story that they will need someone with a bigger resume. Let's just say it. Well, they need.
No, you'll have to forgive me, and I will offer a counterpoint gently now, my friends. Isn't it cool to have unknown actors come in to play big roles? That way, they can leave their mark on it without having to carry the burden of some other famous face. I really love the idea of major characters being given life by a newer, fresh talent that, we don't think, oh, that's that person from that movie. We're actually thinking, this is the first time we're experiencing this actress on such a large scale of a character, and this becomes their biggest early footprint in their career, is that they did get this lucky break, and they were an unknown, and now suddenly they did get this break and made that role their own.
I like it.
Offers a lot of value to the production, really.
100%. So, but before we ask the chat, I want to see which one they like most. There's someone in the chat that had a third option, Cliff, and I want to know if we should just scratch this third option or if it has merit.
Okay.
Can you see this actress, Celeste Dodwell, as a form of Anatar, a form of Sauron?
Sure. Easily.
Does the text support someone of this stunning beauty, Sauron taking this visage?
Sure, why not? Sauron could shapeshift to do all kinds of crazy things. And by the way, your video is full back on the Zoom. It looks great. I can see you within our little secret council chamber. I can see you just fine. But the answer is yes. Quite often, from me, these days, the answer has usually been yes. I'm that kind of guy these days.
KH Dandelion wants to know, Cliff, does Sauron take a female form?
It is not specifically written of that. Specifically in Norse mythology, we know that Loki, as a god of mischief and a shapeshifter, he took on a female form. And in the TV series Loki, they made a very, very subtle reference to that Loki can change his gender if he uses his magics to change his identity.
Yeah, but did Tolkien
persona.
Write Sauron to be
Tolkien did not.
Shape-shifting?
No, Tolkien did not.
Wait, I thought he was a werewolf, though. Or a vampire.
No, that he could shape-shift into a werewolf, a vampire, and to other humanoid forms.
A Halbrand?
Yes.
A woman?
Maybe, but maybe I'm answering you a little bit over specifically.
Okay.
Tolkien doesn't say that Sauron takes on a female form, like with a gendered female. He doesn't do that in his writing. However, because of the presence of that story in mythology, especially in Norse mythology, and because everyone is quite appropriately...
Oh, Tolkien would be open to that type of thing.
By connecting those dots about that type of dark, mythological, the badly behaved deities of the great Norse gods, that stuff influenced Tolkien left and right. So why not? And because that element is already in pop culture as well, that Marvel has introduced that idea with their Loki, it's not too far off target that in this version of Lord of the Rings pop culture, it might also manifest with Anatar being a female gender. It absolutely could happen. Absolutely.
Okay, well, let's put it to the chat. Chat, you've got three options here. I wish I knew how to do polls, but I don't have YouTube logged in because we use Restream. I got to figure out the poll thing.
Can I do a poll?
I don't know.
No,
Nerd of the Rings does polls very well. So I want to see. You have three options. They've been well debated. Do you think that this actress is playing the person that weds Elrond, Celebrian? Do you think this is a follow-up to Tom Bombadil rumor from a few weeks ago? This is Goldberry, the most beautiful river nymph, River Daughter, or
yes,
is this a face of Sauron? All right, we've got it's a mixed bag. We've got Goldberry, we've got Anatar
coming in.
Cliff, wait. Okay. You wrote Face of Anatar. Do you really? Which one are you on board for now?
The reason why I say Face of Anatar is because Anatar could present himself as the ultimate disguise to fool other people who are now, because of season 1, because of the internal lore of season 1, everybody, including Elrond and Celebrimbor, now realize that Sauron was there in their midst. I think that's where we're going to get to eventually. And you know what? If the disguise is going to be good enough, maybe Anatar will show up as female. Who knows? That's totally within the realm of real possibility that they're going to do on season 2.
Well, I like all three of these options. And Cliff, you are right. You sold me on the concept that an actor's resume does not limit the characters that they can play in the show.
Look, if you want to make your biggest impact as an actor, it's because you arrive in a movie where the director and the casting director have the foresight to know that you in that role are going to chew it up and spit it out, and it's going to be amazing because you're going to inhabit that role. And that's why casting matters. That's why Victoria Burrows is like the unsung hero of the Lord of the Rings films.
I don't think she is Warlord Orc number 3, but thank you for that additional option, Wheatbix. Cliff, we've got more casting rumors. That was a big one, and the 3 characters that we are guessing are huge characters that fans can't wait to see. But Cliff, yes. I don't know if I told you. I don't know if you saw this, but the latest rumor for the next casting gossip, according to Dr. Nosy, we are confirming Gwahir, the Wing Lord, the Lord of the Eagles, is coming into season 2.
Lord. The Wind Lord, Gwahir, hell to the yeah. Now, if Gwahir is going to come in as the Lord of the Eagles, wow, brilliant. I'm all down for that. But the only person connected to the Third Age that we know he has a relationship with is Gandalf, who, at this point, might or might not be the stranger. All right, if everybody's really settled on the fact, and I know Matt, Nerd of the Rings, is nowhere near settled on this point, he would much prefer that the stranger, wandering now in the lands of Rune with Nori, the Harfoot, I think he wants, and I do too, I want the stranger to be one of the missing blue wizards. But if the conventional wisdom is going to be that he's Olorin, and it doesn't even know that he's Gandalf, this now makes it a stronger connection. If Gwahir, the Lord of the Eagles, is going to be present, then that means the only person on screen that he would be bothering to have a relationship with would be, boom, Gandalf.
Cliff, Jimmy Mack in the chat room wants to know, are the Eagles immortal?
No.
Is Gwahir?
No. Do you know what? I've never thought of that. No, the only quality of living beings that have been granted immortality would be the Eldar, the elves themselves, the children of Iluvatar, the firstborn, I mean to say, firstborn children of Iluvatar. Even the Ents have a finite time span. Bombadil is outside the reckoning of things because he's not really part of that world of Arda. He's something else entirely. He might be the essence of Iluvatar himself. Tom Bombadil might be the essence of Mother Nature in a interesting way, like the Sandman is the anthropomorphization of dreams.
We have a follow. We have a follow-up. Is that not only do we have the code name, the on-set code name for Gwahir? We have speculation that.
Why is there a code name for Gwahir?
Because they're mystery boxing everything. Fellowship of Fans reported that Cameron Anderson, another unknown actor who doesn't have much of a show reel. In fact, there's not really anything on YouTube that I can point to. The speculation is this guy will be the voice of Gwahir. But Dr. Newsy says they could be completely wrong about this, and he might be Númenórean Guard number 5. We'll keep that joke going. So we have a potential voice for the Eagle. And I want to add to this why I think Guahir is really happening.
This is a whole new idea, because in none, and I mean there are 6 of them, but in none of the Peter Jackson 6 films do any of the eagles talk. Although in the books, they're capable of full-on human conversations.
Well, I liked Peter Jackson's concept of you put the ring on to hear, to hear the translation.
That
was a neat concept. Let me ask you this, but that
Gandalf
differs
has a
from
ring that might help
the
him do
movies
that.
and the books before. So let me ask you this, Cliff. I personally want, if Rings of Power wants to separate itself from Peter Jackson's world, have the animals talk, and not just talk. Have the animals have a society. I don't want animals being just animals. Like, I would love to see eagle society. I want to see that there is as much of a society of eagles as there is orcs. And it would reinforce the storyline about the orcs wanting their own land. Because if the orcs want their own land and their own society, then the eagle, and if the eagles have their own society and their own land, this would make sense for the orcs to champion that. So, Cliff, do you want these animals to talk in this show?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. 100%. In fact, I always regretted missing out on having any of Peter Jackson's eagles have a conversation or an acknowledgement even.
Hang on. Are you saying
Gandalf
Peter
and
Jackson's isn't the best movies of all time and not the most Tolkien thing of all? Are you telling me Peter Jackson is fallible?
Yeah, you're funny. Come on. I would really like to draw attention to the excellent contribution of Jimmy Mack. Thank you. In the YouTube chat, Jimmy has found out that there's writings where Professor Tolkien has a lot to say about the eagles in Numenor, having a relationship with the Numenorians and being there. It says here that eagles would always appear when someone climbed to the summit and during the festivals of, I'm going to pronounce this wrong, Erokayarme, Erohantaya, and Eru.
When they climb the mountain of Menelturma, right? In
the
Numenor.
Mountain of Meneltarma. That's right. Armenelos, the capital of Numenor. A pair of eagles in the Second Age had an eyrie in the king's house in Armenelos, the capital of Numenor, until the reign of Tar and Calamon, when the kings became hostile to the Valar. So the eagles, as representatives of Manwë, we know this. They're not just symbolic, they're literally there. The eagles, the giant eagles, are representatives of Manwë, the chief of the Valar there. And to have an interesting representation of Numenorians falling from grace, falling from the place where they needed to be, having spiritual awareness and obeisance to the Valar. And as they change that, imagine the eagles changing their relationship with the Numenorians and then abandoning the islands. And maybe Elendil has,
and this would explain why the eagles don't help the Fellowship and don't help the humans, don't help the humanoids.
Yeah.
If the eagles have a history with Numenor falls, it would explain why the eagles are reluctant to help, the Fellowship of Nine.
I had immediately jumped to the association of Gandalf and his relationship with Guahir, the Windlord, because
the chat room is saying there's book references to Numenor and eagles. So
boom, I'm there for that. That's awesome.
The other reason I want to give credence to this eagle rumor, Cliff, is if you remember 2 months ago, I believe 2 months ago, I can't find the video anymore. I need to do some more research. But 2 months ago, we showed you guys a video on this show, on this program. I think Fellowship of Fans also tweeted it out, of drones in the air as they were filming a bunch of characters walking in a forested area. I want to say drones have never played an active part in the visual camera work of Lord of the Rings. I want to postulate posterize. I want to
Postulate.
theorize.
You want to postulate.
I want to postulate that the drones being used that we saw a month or two ago,
right,
are actually sightline for the eagle characters.
Ooh.
I want to say that they're using drones, so all the actors on the ground are looking at the same point in the sky,
right?
If they're talking to an eagle character.
Got it. That's brilliant.
So they're not using drones to do typical streamer video drone footage through a forest. They're actually using the drones as a marker to play the character, basically. Because you know how hard it is to get actors to look at the same point in the sky in an outdoor setting. It's impossible. But if you're going to have talking eagles, giant talking eagles, and playing a part in this, you're going to have a drone flying high above the actors, so they're all looking and talking at the same direction.
That makes perfect sense to me. That makes total sense. Love it.
So I think this Dr. Nosy again. We're just tripling down on rumors. We got Tom Bombadil. Now we got Gwahir. Cliff, is this a step in the right direction? Do you want to see the Great Golden Eagles?
Yes, absolutely.
Having an active talking part in the story.
More than you know. More than you know. It's so super cool. This rumor that they would be given speaking roles is brilliant. And maybe we're going to have more of the Ents and the Entwives and the Eagles. Maybe, maybe there's going to be some really great new stuff. But
before we move on from the Eagles, Cliff, you just read that part of the book that Tolkien wrote, that the Eagles would always appear when someone climbed to the summit during the festivals in Numenor. Does this mean we will see one of the epic festivals of Numenor on screen for the first time?
Do you know what? They sure can. They've already shown us what it looks like just to be eating and drinking and having a good time in the open air courts of Numenor. Why not step it up a notch and have it be much bigger?
Final question to you, Cliff, from the chat room. If Gwahir is introduced, does the name Manwë must be said for the first time on camera?
I'm glad that our people in the chat are saying all these very smart things. Yes, absolutely. It's time for Valar to be mentioned by specific names. I really don't know how many names are going to be dropped in the appendices, because most of those names are listed in the Silmarillion, in the early chapters of the Silmarillion. So yeah, I would love that. It would be great for Manwë, the Lord of the Sky, the Herald, and the Eagles. The Eagles being recognized as what we know they are the heralds of Manwë. I would love that.
All right, moving on. That's 2 for 2. Let's keep going with the rumors and scoops. Cliff, Fellowship of Fences reporting. We have 2 actors playing prominent orc characters. These actors have a very, very specific look to them, and you can see how that the performance that we'll be able to achieve through minimal prosthetics is incredible. These guys absolutely have a look to them that's that screams interesting, possibly evil. Yeah. Are we allowed to call orcs evil yet? Are they evil?
Well, did you see all the people being chopped up? Did you see?
That's true.
People getting their eyes poked out in season 1. Thank you, Charlotte Brandstrom, for some incredibly visceral and gory fight scenes. There's definitely a chance anywhere along the line to say that the orcs are a wildly destructive, evil force, have always been aligned with their creator, Morgoth, and there they are. Even
these are not. This is not Narvi. These are not dwarves. These are definitely orc actors, and we're going to go with Fellowship of Fans because they've been
great scoop from
pretty good track record of getting things right on these casting announcements. So
now here's the thing: we still have confirmation that they're not going to be CGI orcs. They're still doing these wonderful prosthetics for these actors.
Again, using
that hasn't changed,
but they've switched the prosthetics creator. Weta Workshop is not doing the prosthetics this season. Instead, they got the guy from The Last of Us.
Right.
So it's not an upgrade. It's not a downgrade. It's an equal award-winning grade.
Yes.
All right, moving on.
Indeed.
The
that's super
Melonheads.
cool, by the way. The more orcs, the better. I'm so very much down for that.
Cliff, awesome. This is a joke meme that was posted by the Melonheads.
No way.
But it is a joke. These are not true. But Cliff, I wanted to ask you: do you want to see something like this announced at San Diego Comic-Con this year?
No way. No, I do not want that kind of announcement. No. Do you? Do you? I mean, why are you asking me first? I mean, here's the thing. It's a great joke because they're spoofing what is now a very familiar marketing engine. And it is a large-scale marketing construct. And we are all used to seeing it. We all look at that and respond, oh, wow, look at that timeline. They're going to do, they're going to do Marvel, blah, blah, blah. It's just so funny now. And I'm glad to see that these folks have a healthy sense of humor, really healthy sense of humor. But no, realistically, this is not what's going on behind the scenes. This is not indicative of what's going to happen after that big announcement we talked about the last couple of weeks with Warner Brothers Discovery asserting their rights to their original Saul Zentz Lord of the Rings deal. This isn't what's going to happen. Come on.
Well, I appreciate that everyone in the chat room is basically no, do not Marvel-ize this, and I agree. My opinion is take your time. The thing that we can learn, learn from The Hobbit and from everything is take your time, get it right. And I personally, I would like to see.
Strider is hilarious. That's hilarious.
I would like to see Warner Brothers announce one movie at a time. Tell us that. You can go ahead and tell us hey, we've got 9 movies, we got maybe 9 movies, that we think we can do or something. I don't know. But, tell us that, hey, we might have some things in the future, but one at a time. You know what? We got Rohirrim coming. Next up, we're pursuing this storyline with these people. And that's where I would leave it. And just kind of baby step, one by one by one.
I agree. Do you know why? Because that builds anticipation in a different way. It, sets you apart from the other people who are obviously the bull in the china shop. It sets you apart as distinct, and it helps build anticipation in a different way, really, because you're showing confidence in your work enough that you're keeping your cards close to your vest. I kind of get that. And I've seen Prime Video do a lot of that in the past couple of years. While season 1 of Rings of Power was being produced, we certainly did see them keep their cards close to their vest, didn't we? That's pretty much what happened.
But we knew that they were doing 5 seasons, and the first 3 are already greenlit, and the first 2 are already written. Cliff,
That's true. We did.
I am a huge fan of director Terrence Malick. He is an acquired taste. He is an acquired taste. His movies are slow. His movies are introspective and meditative.
Very.
My question to you is, if Terrence Malick were to be convinced to come into the Legendarium, which character deserves the Terrence Malick treatment?
Wow. That's a great question. Now, I haven't thought about bringing Terrence Malick into the world of Arda, but he would be very well suited as a visual storyteller. He has a sense of visual poetry, and his MO as a director is to have far less dialogue and to let dreamlike flowing images tell the story, and let the images very gently unfold the story.
The emotion through visualization.
They're very his films are I would describe them as big, roomy films with lots of space and lots of quiet.
Does Terrence Malick make sense for a Legolas going out to search for Aragorn after his dad Thranduil said go search for Aragorn? Or does it make sense for young Aragorn who chooses to forego his blood or is this a meditation on Manwë? Maybe it's Gandalf lost. Is there a character in Middle Earth that is lost? Lost in thought. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get where you're going.
Does Gandalf get lost in the forest for ages? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Well, the way Terrence Malick directs things, I don't think that he would do the battle scenes or fight scenes in the way that we're accustomed to seeing them. Wow, I wonder. It might be pretty cool to see if we look at an origin story of Treebeard. I'm ideally thinking if there was a whole separate movie that was just focused on the Ents and the Ent wives and how they lost them, that would be Terrence
I don't
Malick
think that's movie.
territory.
I don't think the Ents are movie worthy. What I would like to see.
You know what? If you turned it into a powerful romance of loss and separation, and what? Where does it end? Ecological tragedy. Boom. That's in the wheelhouse of Terrence Malick. It is.
Yes, but yes. I think that story that you just described, a story of love and heartbreak and ecological tragedy, can be told better in the Rings of Power 1 hour format, a total non sequitur of an episode, just like episode 3 of The Last of Us
was a bottle episode of separate characters having a separate life.
I want the Rings of Power.
I get it.
Rings of Power. I don't know why you're giving us 8 episodes per season. You have unlimited budget. Like, go make a 1 hour Ent episode on its own. You know, like spend 2 months. Give a director and a camera crew 2 months to go shoot the most beautiful Ent bottle episode about Ents, love and loss.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want out of this show.
I'm that kind of guy. I'm that kind of I'm always that kind of guy who will be like, let's have a real story told from the point of view of Mother Nature herself. And yeah, that sounds like Terrence Malick territory, doesn't it?
Oh, XOXO in the chat room says, is the budget unlimited? Didn't they move to the UK for production costs? No, they did not move for that reason. In fact, they forego $150 million tax rebate. Basically, they threw away $150 million to move to the UK. Jennifer Salke, the head of Amazon Studios and Prime Video, has said it's going to cost whatever it costs. There is no budget limit. This is the Lord of the Rings is the only thing, the only show, the only movie that has a blank checkbook from Jeff Bezos. And Jennifer Salke has said we're going to pay for
thought.
And that's an encouraging thought, and that's what we've always said. One of the core values, positive things about Jeff getting the TV rights was he's going to spare no expense. So moving on, Cliff.
Yes,
someone
indeed.
brought up a article. Morfydd Clark is clad in a sleek new costume for season 2 and sports elaborate braid work that would make Princess Leia envious.
Oh, intriguing. Okay. All right.
She stands for a camera test as Payne and McKay suggest changes. Is her quiver of arrows bunched weird? Does the color of her bandolier make her look like a crossing guard?
Really?
So the question for you,
really,
Cliff, was Galadriel ever an archer?
I believe that weren't all elves greatly skilled with various weapons? Um, it
That's what I
is.
wanted to know. Yeah, it was a
Hmm,
genuine question. Like,
I would not be surprised at all that. Look, do you know when I was a very small boy, my dad and my older brother took me out to the archery field all the time. I have more experience with crossbows and high tension bows and professional archery equipment than you even know that I have. And like you said at the top of the show, I'm the guy that has been in the longest relationship with you in your entire life. And you just found out something brand new about me. You didn't know that I've got a great
I did
deal of
not.
archery skill. You know what? You could put me in front of a crossbow and I'm ready to go. Boom. And I've got pictures to prove it. You know how many times, Justin, you've said to me pics or it didn't happen? I've got photos of me and my father and my brother, and I hit some great targets. They were made of straw, but I mean, from a very fair distance, I learned to manage the weapon because of my background as a little boy learning archery when I was just a little kid. I was in the Boy Scouts, believe it or not, for a very brief time when I was a kid. Now, Galadriel coming in with her thousands of years of life and experience, and she is a battle-hardened character.
oh,
At this
Dandelion
point,
in the chat room says she did athletic contests in Amen. So
mhm,
those must include
Aman.
Amon,
Yes,
and those must include archery in her high school.
I would
And
think so. I
Finrod
would absolutely
says
think so. And a
archery
whole
is so
repertoire.
relaxing. Cliff
Yep.
the Bowman,
In
that's what they're calling
in
you.
I'll take it. I will totally take it. But here is the thing. In her repertoire of weapon skills, I would be surprised if they never presented her as an archer. Look at the way that she fought in the training, that funny,
I get it. I
charming
get
little
it.
thing
Well,
she did with the Numenorian boys.
You answered
She's
my
that
question
talented.
on the
She's that talented.
archery, in this description, it says Morfydd Clark and sports an elaborate braid work that would make Princess Leia envious. Well, folks, Morfydd Instagrammed this video of this cute little dancing pig speaker. And if you
What?
if you this was on her Instagram stories. Someone
That's so
clipped
cute.
it. It's so cute.
That's so cute. Now
But-
that
but
I just
I-
realized something. I don't want to hear all these unnecessary comparisons to Katniss Everdeen. By the time we get some archery with Galadriel doing some things in season 2, there's going to be inevitable people complaining and saying, "Oh, they've turned Galadriel into Katniss." So that's going to happen. That's inevitable.
Well,
But
I
whatever.
wanted to bring this up full screen. If you look in this video on the left near the electrical plug, that is a clear plastic bag with a braided wig in it. So this is exactly Morfydd has leaked the actual braided hairstyle that
She
was
did not leak
described
that wig.
in
That's
that
funny.
article. There it
Oh, that's
is,
so funny.
right there in the top left corner of your screen. That
know what?
is it.
Eagle-eyed fans would find anything. That's really hilarious. I love that.
Isn't that good?
What if it's somebody else's wig from earlier in the day?
Oh no, that's her trailer. Come on, that's her trailer. That's her pig.
That's so cute, though. It's very cute. Well,
But in this conversation, funny you were bringing up some Galadriel motivations because someone found this letter J.R. Tolkien wrote in February 1971. Says, I was particularly interested in your remarks on Galadriel. I think it is true that I owe much of this character to Christian and Catholic teaching and imagination about Mary, mother of Jesus. But actually, Galadriel was a penitent. In her youth, a leader in the rebellion against the Valar. At the end of the first day, she proudly refused forgiveness or permission to return.
that's right.
She was pardoned because of her resistance to the final and overwhelming temptation to take the ring for herself.
The One Ring. Yes. Yeah,
So-
that's true.
I wanted, based on this letter, does this mean that what we saw when Galadriel jumped off the ship, is that the moment? Is that the decision that bookends her refusing Frodo's ring.
Yes, perhaps, but if you're going to try to make that moment more resonant, they're going to have to talk some more about that first age stuff that happened with, her and, leaving Valinor and, not and turning her back on the Valar at that time that she did and being so prideful. That's all super specific Silmarillion stuff. And I wonder if they're allowed to even talk about that at that granular level. But that is the chunk of the narrative that motivates her final temptation in the Fellowship of the Ring, when Frodo actually says, "I would give it to you if you asked it of me."
Huh.
I wonder. I've still hold on to the idea that it was Sauron who should have been put on that boat to be sent back to Valinor, and then decided to jump off the boat.
Well, there's a
opinion.
There's a lot of shoulda, woulda, couldas. Cliff, we
Yeah,
have,
but some are better than others.
we have additional updates, Cliff.
Yes, please, additional updates.
Drew Halbrand in our Discord says editing for season 2 is officially underway, with editor Andy Morrison hard at work editing the first few episodes of the season. This is in line.
Wow.
with what we've been reporting recently, Cliff, is that they've been filming season 2, the first few episodes of season 2 since November. It makes sense that editing would be underway as of the end of February. And this would mean that this would give the production time to identify anything or any actors or things that are not working for the new episodes.
Oh no, not another Tom Birch.
So, and then we looked up Andy Morrison. He is an editor from a movie called John Carter of Mars.
Oh, I love that movie. That's fun.
Into the Woods.
Oh, yes.
And Life, which I believe was an Apple TV show. And he's done a bunch of other assembly cuts and stuff. So by far, Lord of the Rings is his biggest editing gig.
Cool. Super cool.
So again, not just actors proving their quality, unknown actors proving their quality, but here's a guy that's been working in the biz for a dozen years and finally getting a shot.
Those are some really cool things on his CV, on his curriculum vitae. Yeah, look, he's got some really cool projects that he's worked on. I'm down. It looks like they've got real talent. Again, they still have really, really strong, talented people working in post-production on this show. And you can see the results in season 1. And I'm actually looking forward to this. Here's where I made the joke. I don't want to make any more jokes about actors being replaced. I'm sorry. No one wants to deal with that. But, as it so happens, there's a history of it in Tolkien, Lord of the Rings world, that, even in the Hobbit trilogy, one of the 13 dwarves in Thorin's company left after a few scenes of filming in an unexpected journey. So it has happened. And of course, Celebrimbor, in season 1 of Rings of Power, was changed. Charles Edwards. Hello, Mr. Edwards. You're fantastic out there.
Right.
He is. What a great, so great. Charles Edwards, so great as Celebrimbor. People falling in love with him.
Huge upgrade.
Falling in love with him. He's great.
Through the course of talking about reshoots and changing things, I was reminded of an old article that Craig Mazin, the showrunner on The Last of Us and Chernobyl, The Last of Us breaking all of HBO's records. Last of Us might be the biggest new show of the last decade. Last of Us is the hype. Believe the hype. It is everything everyone is saying. And I hope you guys are watching. The final episode is this weekend after the Oscars. But Craig Mazin was such a trusted name that when HBO was making the pilot episode of Game of Thrones, he's one of the biggest voices that said, this is junk, this is crap, you guys need to throw this all away. And they did. They threw away 90% of the show, rewrote it, and reshot the entire pilot episode. And
Game of Thrones.
And you know what? He was right, and now he's still right with Last of Us, just absolutely doing some of the best character building ever. And I can't praise that show highly enough, and I hope you guys give it a shot. You don't even have to be, if you don't like zombie shows and you don't like horrors, that's fine. It's not really a zombie show. It's not really a horror show. It's just a character piece, and it is everything.
A very, very intense and well-drawn character-driven drama in a pretty wild piece of speculative fiction, obviously from the video game world, but I've never played the game, ever. Never played it once.
I haven't either.
And the show is amazing, and I'm obsessed with it. It's as well written as season 1 of Andor, and the hype is just as real as a season 1 of Andor or Sandman. It's like, whoa, this is such great stuff. And, you know, I just had a conversation with someone earlier today, and he said, "Oh, Clifford, Rings of Power, I loved it. I really loved it. It took me a couple of episodes to get into it, but eventually I just loved it and I want to eat it up. It's so wonderful." And this guy is an old friend of mine who just turned 60. Congratulations on your 60th birthday, my good friend Ali. And he's from Brazil. He's Brazilian, Portuguese. And I'm telling you, the Brazilian fan base for Lord of the Rings and Rings of Power is huge, 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 huge. And they're eating it up and loving it. So I'm glad to hear that, you know, there's more to come. And I'm glad to hear and see that there's more competition coming from Warner Brothers Discovery. And especially looking at how strong The Last of Us is doing for HBO Max, and how strongly House of the Dragon and Sandman, and especially Andor, have all performed. Do you know that really puts a fire underneath your butt as a creator, as a writer, doesn't it? If you are seeing your peers and you're watching and experiencing all around you the excellence of your peers, this is what happened during Tolkien's friendship with C.S. Lewis and the writers group he was in, the Inklings. It also goes back to his boyhood days when he was surrounded by his good friends who were the TCBS. Remember? The Tea Club and Barovian Society. And it was depicted so well in the Domey Korakovsky Tolkien biography film with Nicholas Hoult. There's that quality of being surrounded by excellence that helped John Ronald Reuel Tolkien as he continued to work as a writer. Maybe that same dynamism will be in play here with seasons 2, 3, and 4 of The Rings of Power, that they're surrounded by such strongly excellent work from the guys at Andor and the guys at The Last of Us and the Sandman folks. Look at how that would put a fire under your butt as a creator. Don't you think, Justin, that if you're being compelled by the success of everybody in your field, you're as well compelled to bring your best to the game. Isn't that right? Don't you think?
100%.
I do think so. I would like, and I'm looking forward to that.
And Cliff, I wanted to bring up this latest chart. Netflix is responsible for 15% of global internet traffic. This is global internet traffic. This is not subscribers.
When you found this, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
So this isn't subscribers. This is just how much video is being watched. Okay,
right.
This is, and as you can see, Netflix is 15% of global internet traffic. YouTube is 12%, and look at Prime Video down there, 2.8%, which is half of Disney Plus. Half of Disney Plus. So
right.
when we right. talk about, when you see Rings of Power showing up in the top 10 new streaming shows of 2022, that is a huge win for Prime Video. Looking at how much less popular it is to everything else. More people watch video on Facebook then they watch Prime Video. So for Rings of Power to show up in the top 10 of anything, even though Prime Video doesn't have the numbers, is a huge accomplishment to the Lord of the Rings.
Yep, I would agree with that. I sure would.
So if you want to read this, this is representative of how much video is actually being watched on each platform. So, and you can kind of guess that not a lot of people are watching stuff on Prime Video right now, but there's only room for improvement and growth.
Indeed.
So,
and to answer Otaku Senpai in the live chat, you had asked how much familiarity did my friend have with the Lord of the Rings Second Age lore or any of the appendices lore? And the answer is 0. He was completely casual viewer and a casual consumer of science fiction and fantasy, and certainly not a reader, not as much as most of us are readers of Tolkien. So this is interesting. How about
Last of Us? I'm telling you, if you haven't played the games, you can still watch the show. It's that good. And the thing I really like about it, even though I haven't played the games and I don't know the story, if you watch on HBO Max, at the end of each episode, there's a 5-minute behind-the-scenes thing, and almost every episode, the source writer and the new writer of the show explain the changes that they made from the source, why they made those changes.
They sure do.
And how those changes are reaffirm the quality of the show and how you tell a narrative story in a different medium. And I feel like we haven't got any of that with Rings of Power yet. Not once have we had any behind the scenes video of the showrunner saying, look, we made this change from the books, but this is why we did it. This is why we think it makes a better show.
Mm-hmm.
That's all we want.
I agree. Excuse me, and I'll be right back in one quick second. I need to shut my front door before the cat escapes. Be right back.
Go. Well, folks, breaking news right now as we speak. Lord of the Rings Return of the King is returning to theaters for 20th anniversary screening on April 13th. And right now, during this show, tickets went on sale. Tickets went on sale for Return of the King in theaters. It is the extended edition. It is the brand new 4K recolored, retimed extended edition of Return of the King. 4 hours and 20 minutes. Check your local cinemas. Mine is Cinemark here in Los Angeles. But tickets are available now. Looks like some theaters are having 2 showings that day, 7 p.m. and 8:30 p.m. That means they're showing at the same time because it's a 4.5-hour movie. Yeah, so here we are. Lord of the Rings Return of the King is back in theaters in 1 month's time, April 13th. Tickets just now went on sale right now. So check your local theater for tickets. There's no press release or anything about that, but I believe this one includes a video introduction from Elijah Wood that was filmed, and they're gonna have and they're gonna show before the movie.
That'll be great.
Recent footage of the Lord of the Rings role-playing tabletop game that we got tickets for, a bunch of fans back in December, and they filmed it, and they're going to show some of the Lord of the Rings tabletop games right before the movie. So that's going to be fun. Speaking of tabletop games, Cliff, what do you got here?
Oh, man. There's a very, very famous gaming company that makes jigsaw puzzles and board games. Most famously, Ravensburger has the very popular line of board games called Villainous, including the Disney villains that you get to play.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
And they've got the new Star Wars version of Villainous with great characters. And now they've also got a series of board games that are called adventure book games. An adventure book. Imagine that they have 6 or 8 games in one. right? Imagine it's not just one single board game, but there's a storybook style of the board game where you go through a miniature game for a full 20 minutes of play, and that's one chapter of the story. So their previous edition of their board games was Wizard of Oz. They recreated the journey of Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz and all of her friends and the interesting characters that she met along the journey. And they broke up the board game into a whole bunch of different segments. And you play one full section of it, and then when you're done, you turn the page, and lo and behold, there's another fully printed game board to go through the next chapter of play. Just a few days ago, they released at Target stores nationwide in the US, they released the Lord of the Rings adventure book game. Right after this huge popular release of Marvel Villainous. They just had a new expansion that has Kang the Conqueror and Dr. Octopus and other Marvel villains to play. So just a few weeks after that, Ravensburger is now back at game stores near you with this really, really cool adventure book line. So it says here from the description, and you can show some of these beautiful images if you'd like. Justin, if you click down to that gallery, you can bounce through and show some of the gallery images.
Oh, wow.
It says that each
You can play with 2 people?
Yep, you can. You can play, it says, 1 to 4. You can play by yourself, solo play, and they also have up to 4 players. Well, usually in a game like that, you are the person trying to complete and execute objectives within the game, and you're trying to do it within a certain time frame before the game gets to a point of saying, oops, you lose because you didn't get it done within enough turns.
Right.
So you can play solo or with other friends. Look at these really cool figures, all these members of the Fellowship. It is a chance for you as a player to work together with others at the table to pick one of your cherished Lord of the Rings characters and journey from the Shire all the way to the fires of Mordor. And you just open up one page to another and finish a different cycle of gaming. And you don't have to do the whole thing all at once. You can play in multiple seatings. And there's quite a few videos that have appeared on YouTube. There's some really great YouTube gaming, board gaming, tabletop gaming content creators, and they've got it covered. Take a look at that. Look at these components. Aren't they cool? Look at that, Justin. I'm so down. So if you've been saving up a lot of Target savings dollars, you know that if you're using your Target app, you've probably been purchasing stuff and saved up a whole bunch of dollars on your Target app, so you can get a big discount on this game. It is a cooperative mechanism, okay? All cooperative games are unique from competitive games in that the concept of play is a thematic storytelling build. And people at the table are working together to combine cards, game tokens, resources, and ideas as they sit through the game mechanism and try to work it out together to get their objectives done before a final consequential thing happens that ends their viable play round, usually a timing mechanism. And it's really, really cool stuff. And everyone's excited about this. I've got to run to the store myself right after we're done. You know, maybe I should ask Ravensburger if we can do a review. Hey guys, I'm going to email Ravensburger and ask if they will send me a review copy, and then we'll bring it on the air and we'll review it and tell you much more about it. But it's brand new and I haven't picked it up yet. I'm excited to play. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, that looks cool. Cliff, I have breaking news. Speaking of new products,
oh, no. What happened?
It is officially in just a few hours. We can confirm now that it is sold out. The 6,000 piece Lord of the Rings Rivendell Lego set has sold out. On the first day within hours. It is now on back order. You can back order it now, but Cliff, it is sold out.
That is awesome. I wanted one. You know what? I guess I'm not going to get one. That's the essence of when they make a collectible set. You know, they don't mass produce it forever and ever. Amen. They only make a set limited number of these things, and then they're done. That's the nature of
the
the game,
chat
boys.
room. The chat room looks like they got it. Shiv Knight was lucky enough to snag one. Red Castle gets his on Thursday, or hers.
Oh, good.
Theirs.
That's good. Great.
And Cliff, do you agree with me that the value of this set will go up?
Absolutely. Hey, you know how much that Balrog has gone up in value? The original Weta sculpture of the Balrog that had its big fiery whip in a huge circle around it. That thing has gone up in value exponentially. It's huge now.
Well,
It's
even the little $30 Gandalf and his cart Lego that you had last week or a couple weeks ago, that
tore open and built. Yes, on the air.
And how much was it worth? $150.
Thanks. Yeah.
$30 to $150. I have no doubt that this will go for $1,000 next year. That's how in demand this is.
Hello, Red Castle Media, for actually saying that Rivendell Lego set now up on eBay already for as much as $1,200. That's a lot of money.
Well, I need, Lego.
I wonder what kind of a used car I could get for that amount of money.
Lego, if you're watching, The Wandering has a lot of Instagram followers. We'd be happy to post videos on Instagram. And finally, Cliff, Lord of the Rings musical, co-created by Matilda director, is headed for the UK.
Yes.
Do you remember the Lord of the Rings musical?
Yeah, I do remember this. I think I still have the hold on. I think I still have the soundtrack. Is that over there on the shelf? No, that's the Hobbit soundtrack. I did have the Lord of the Rings musical, stage musical, and I never listened to it much, but this is intriguing.
So this is a new performance and a new directorial effort, but using the same. It's kind of like how you go and watch Les Mis. You're still seeing the same Les Mis, but it's just a new performance of it
with a new production design and a new take on it. Yeah. Yeah.
That's what this is. This is the same old Lord of the Rings musical that we've all grown in love over the last few decades. This is just a new, updated version of it.
Do I have to go to London to see it? Is that the thing?
Yes.
Okay.
You have to, not London, the UK countryside.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, at the same time I'm over there visiting the set of Rings of Power, I'll take a detour and go and see the musical while I'm there.
Man, I hope we're not losing our influence, because we really like a board game set, a Lego set, and Amazon. If you're listening, look, we want to preach the gospel of how wonderful your show is sounding. Cliff, what do you think of all the rumors today? I mean, we're talking Galadriel with Princess Leia braids. We've got Guahir, Tom Bombadil, potentially Tom Bombadil's wife, Goldberry.
Potentially a talking eagle in the show. Thank you very much. Yes, I'm first.
Is that your most excited part of the news today? Really?
Well, because it is a distinct departure from the way the eagles are represented in any of Peter's films. To have them have a personality and engagement and a narrative presence, more than just being used as a deus ex machina to get our heroes out of a pinch, which is something that Professor Tolkien was very conscious of and did not want them to be used like so much that it would be such an obvious trope. It's like, yeah, let's have conversations and actual narrative engagement with these eagles, so that we understand the metaphysical connections as well.
Oh, this is interesting. The chat room is right. Cliff announced today, Free League Publishing announces a new expansion for the One Ring RPG. It's called Tales from the Lone Lands. This is breaking news today. This is an expansion of
that's very cool.
The One Ring RPG. Have you played that, Cliff, yet?
No, I have not, but I do have friends who love it. That is so super cool. That one, they just did a thing to promote.
Was that the big Kickstarter? The Kickstarter reissue?
Yeah, I think that.
Or it was like a new rule set, or the updated rule book.
Yes, and I think Sala Baker was involved in that broadcast of the Red Scribe when they did that adventure module for the RPG.
That's right.
Yeah, that was so cool.
All right, so we got the One Ring RPG, Tales from the Lone Lands. So, guys, we've got multiple board games and Lego sets. We've got 5 new Lord of the Rings video games coming out this year. We've got a huge Comic-Con with Weta coming back, War of the Rohirrim going to be previewed, hopefully. And who knows what Warner Brothers is going to set up with all the new movies. And then all of these nice little juicy gossips with new orcs, new prosthetic orcs for season 2, and this actress who Cliff, last chance to change your mind. Out of the 3 options we presented today, could it be female Sauron, female presenting Sauron in a few scenes? Could it be Goldberry? Tom Bombadil's love interest, the river girl, or
the daughter, the river daughter, Goldberry. Come on, okay.
Or is it Celebrian, Galadriel's daughter, who we get introduced to, and then marries Elrond?
Very excited. All of these tremendous possibilities that are in front of us are full of promise. I do think it's most likely that she's going to be Celebrian, because with them making a mention of Celeborn in season 1, it's now time for the other members of Galadriel's immediate family to come onto the stage in season 2. I think it's time.
It's interesting, and all the options we talked about were left out of Peter Jackson's movies, right? We never got a mention of Celebrian. We never get a mention of Gwahir talking.
That's so cool.
Things might be shaping up pretty good, Cliff. I'm not gonna lie. Season 2 might, like, if these rumors pan out, like, there is reason to start getting excited. But you know, you can throw all the characters that we love at the screen. It all comes back to great writing.
Yes, it does. Absolutely.
And that's what The Last of Us has. Great writing with respect for the original source.
Boy, howdy. I agree. I'm telling you. And that is what it looks like when you have a vibrant marketplace and a vibrant environment of really good science fiction, fantasy, I should say speculative fiction writers working and making stuff that's going to be really good. I'm intrigued. We've got some really good news on this show today, and I am very intrigued to see how much of it pans out in the near future. Justin, thank you for bringing me some of these excellent gold bits today. Really good.
And it just occurred to me, Cliff, because people in the chat room are saying their marketing needs to make things official earlier, which I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
Which made me think, Cliff, we just got this rumor from Redanian intelligence about this beautiful young actress joining the show. She has not been announced by Amazon. She has not been part of the 2 casting announcements featuring 23 new actors and actresses. So they are still casting additional people on top of the 23 new people, which is on top of the 20 people from last season. So right now we're pushing a cast of 50 people for season 2 of Rings of Power.
Wow.
At this point, this rumored casting from Redanian Intelligence has me more excited than all the other casting announcements Amazon has done. And why is that? Because we can look at her and we can say there's only a select few roles that she could be playing.
Mm-hmm.
So to that point, Amazon, if you want to get better at this, tell us the character names of your actors.
Do you know how much I love that and how impactful it would be if there was a big splashy announcement? Here she is, boys and girls, your very own Celebrian. And all of us would be like, wow, nobody's mentioned Celebrian.
Or Goldberry.
And now we know they're going to be in season 2, and that would fuel the engine of speculation and excitedness and eager enthusiastic talk, lots of enthusiastic talk, because Galadriel is not an island. She is not a monolith. She is not a character to be separated from all these other dimensions and dynamics. Her mentioning that she has a lost husband is leaving us scratching our head this whole time about where is her daughter? Would she be an adult at this point in the late Second Age? The answer? Maybe. Yeah, I think because she'd have to be old enough to start a romance with Robert Arameo's character, Elrond. Because we all want to see it. We all want to see that. We all want to be there to see lonely boy Elrond no longer being a lonely guy and actually falling in love with a character that makes his life more complicated.
And does this complicate
with Galadriel? We want that. We want it. We want it. We want it.
Does this complicate Elrond's new reborn friendship with Durin? Now that Durin has been stripped of his title, he needs to lean on his friends more than ever for moral support and emotional support.
Yeah.
If Elrond starts dating a girl, of course, his attention is going to be away from his friend. And now the tables have turned, and now Durin feels alone. Oh, man, I don't know what the writers are doing, but this
I think
plays...
There's more... There's more complication with the fact that Celebrian is Galadriel's daughter, and Elrond, at the end of season 1, is aware of finding that proof of there is no Halbrand. Halbrand was not real, and that guy was actually Sauron, who was in their midst. And, Elrond was standing there looking at her, saying, is this, really the shit that just went down? Did this really go down? And we still have this unresolved place.
You're talking about plot stuff. I've always only wanted
to complicate Elrond's relationship with Celebrian.
I've wanted relationships and romances ever since I wanted Riverdale and Rivendell. I want elvish romances. I want elves dating. And here we are. If this is Celebrian, we are finally getting closer to a show that I really wanted to see.
You're so goofy.
Yes, it's Days of Our Lives.
You're so goofy.
And Cecilia says, please, Amazon, make sure the romances are like Tolkien himself would have written. And can't deny that, but give me some love and lust.
Okay.
All right, that's our show. Cliff, this is the news keeps coming. This is so much fun to be gossiping about what all this means. But Gwahir and Talking Eagles. Talking Eagles. We have a potential voice actor. We have a potential drone. Drones being used for eye lines and eyesight. Yes.
And drones being used for drone fireworks, maybe.
Oh yeah, and that's well, we said that last week. Anyway,
we did. What a show! What a great show!
There you go.
Thank you, Justin, for these excellent.
William in the chat room says, Amazon, do not listen to Justin.
No.
So I'm just sharing that with anybody that might be watching.
24 karat gold, news and information right here on Torn Tuesday. Ladies and gentlemen, you were here for it. Thank you for being here for it. You were just with us, and wasn't it grand? We had a grand time, and I can see that my phone battery is dead, and that's all right. You, sir, have a lot of business going on behind you. Justin, we're going to let you get
so much action going on. You can hear the beeps and boops, and so we got to solve the thing before the place burns down. But I am most excited for everything I just said. And Cliff,
me too.
Take us out.
I'm so excited to have some Goldberry or some Celebrian, however that works out, and give me Talking Eagles all day long, and I'll give you a satisfied Tolkien fan right there. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Torn Tuesday, theonering.net, bringing you our weekly mishmash and corned beef hash of news and gossip and information from Middle-earth and beyond. Thank you for joining us. We encourage you all to follow us on our website. Come and read these wonderful big articles we have at theonering.net main page. And of course, follow us on our socials, the One Ring Net. Just take out the dot. Me, I'm on social media at QuickBeam2000 on Instagram and Twitter. Justin, he's over there trying to be quiet and low-key. But we love you guys for joining us. You're a generous audience, always the best. Ladies and gentlemen, take good care of yourselves. Have a really wonderful week. And we'll see you next time at 5 p.m. Pacific time for more of Torn Tuesday. Until next time, good night and good luck. Or, better yet, buenas noches y buena suerte. Bye.
Bye. Goldberry, you are way out of my league.